Hey there, it's Benjamin Harvey again, Australia's only two-time BRW award-winning coach. And today what I wanted to share with you is a little bit about how do you actually make the transition? As in, how do you actually go on to become a full-time coach? How do you actually go on to have a lifestyle of your dreams, to sleep when you want to sleep, get up when you want to get up, earn what you want to earn, travel when you want to travel, do what you want to do, live your dreams the way you want to live your dreams, all while making a difference in the world, changing people's lives in undoubtedly the most fulfilling occupation on planet Earth. Now, how do you make that transition? What is the actual process behind the whole thing? Now, what we've found over all the years we've been doing this, and we've been running this company now for just over 8.5 years. I've been coaching for over 11.5 years. And during that time, I've found that most successful coaches out there have chosen one of 5 different ways to kiss their day job goodbye. That's right, kiss their day job goodbye, and go on to be either a part-time or a full-time coach. Either way, they're out there making a difference, changing people's lives. So let's go through each one of these and find out which one resonates with you. Because each one of these has to be met or matched up against what we call your risk tolerance profile. See, every human being out there has a risk tolerance profile. And what a risk tolerance profile allows you to do is work out exactly how much risk you can handle at any given time before the stress of that risk becomes too much and causes what we call distress inside the system. So let's have a look at what your risk tolerance profile is going to allow you to do out of these 5 things. Now, the first one you can actually do is become what we call the dreamer. Now, the dreamer is the person who dreams of being a coach, dreams of going out there and changing people's lives, and they're in the phase where they don't want to leave their job in any way, shape, or form. So what they do is they go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, in a job that they really don't love, and they look out the window and daydream about being a coach. Now, you may think that this may be a complete waste of time, but the fact is it isn't. Because inside your mind, if you imagine yourself coaching, if you think about it all the time, if you feel the feelings and really engage with that, the cool thing about your mind is it cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So the more you imagine being a coach, eventually the mind will be convinced that you're actually a coach, and it'll start to take actions in accordance with that belief. So the dreamer is the first one. That's where you just work your job 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but every day you allocate a little bit of time for daydreaming. Daydreaming about what it feels like to change people's lives, daydreaming about getting on the telephone or meeting people face to face or traveling around the world and actually having an impact. Now, the second one that people look at is that of actually being somebody who is what we call a part-time lover. Now, a part-time lover is somebody who actually goes out and goes part-time in their job. Now, what does that mean? It means you go up and have a chat to your boss and say, look, what I would like to do is work part-time. Now, the part-time lover is somebody who might do, I don't know, Monday to Wednesday in their job, and Thursday, Friday, they work on their coaching business. Now, my business partner, Cham Tang, actually took that option when we first started Authentic Education. He was working full-time for another events company at the time, and we actually came to an agreement where he went and spoke with his boss and asked for a couple of days off a week. Now, the beautiful thing about being a part-time lover is it allows you to have a whole bunch of structure. And what I mean by that is when you're working Monday to Wednesday in your job, and you've got 2 consecutive days off each week to dedicate to your coaching career, chances are you're going to start to build up some significant momentum. So part-time lover is something that you might like to do. What does it mean though? It means you're going to have a slightly less income coming through in the early stages, but you'll have far more structure to dedicate to your coaching practice. Now, if you happen to have Thursday, Friday available, or you might get Mondays and Tuesdays off in your job, the beautiful thing about that is you actually end up getting 4 days straight, which means you do have to work over weekends if you want to, but you get 4 days a week with nothing but dedicated focus. You know, the craziest thing I think would be to take off like Tuesday and Wednesday, because it just doesn't allow for as much momentum as you would like, because the more consecutive days you can do in a row, the faster you're going to grow your coaching business. Now, the next one is what we call the stepping stone, or getting a stepping stone career. A stepping stone is where you realize, look, if I want to be a great coach, there are certain things I need to know. Like I need to know how to manage multiple accounts. I need to know how to manage different people's lives. I need to know how to make sales. I need to know how to do marketing. I need to learn the skills of communication on the telephone and so on. So you might realize that one of the things you want to get better at is communicating on the telephone. So what you decide to do is look through the newspaper and look for part-time jobs in call centers. A stepping stone job, where inside that call center, you'll develop the skill of communication via the telephone. You develop the skill of communicating with a variety of different people. And in doing that, you'll actually build up a skill that is essential to the overall development of a highly successful coaching business. So a stepping stone is one of the ways of doing it. Now, the next way you can actually do it is what we call the all or nothing. Now, the all or nothing is pretty much something that I actually did. The all or nothing is the thing that I did because my risk tolerance profile is quite high. Now, the all or nothing simply looks like this. You basically go into work and you say, hey, just want to let you know, don't really like working here, haven't really loved it. It's been a great part of my life. It's been a very enjoyable experience for me, but I have to tell you, this is not my passion. This is not what I love doing. This is not what I was born to do. And so I'd like to resign. Thank you very much. Now, when you resign from your career, that is an all or nothing move. The all or nothing move means you have no other options. You have to make it work. You've burnt all of your bridges. Now, the all or nothing move does require sometimes a little bit of cash flow saved away. Like what you might want to do is put away a little bit of savings and you work out what your minimum living expenses are. Now, I knew that when I did the all or nothing maneuver, I could live off about $35,000 a year. That is the absolute minimum of my living expenses. So what I actually did before I quit my job, I took out a loan, a personal loan for $44,000 from Westpac Bank. And I remember it to this day. I called them up. I was working in recruitment at the time and I was on a salary of $120,000 a year with on-target earnings of $200,000. So I'd been working in recruitment earning a pretty good income. And so when I went to call up Westpac and ask for a personal loan, because of my income, they actually, you ready for this? They approved the loan without me even explaining what I wanted to spend the money on. They actually gave me a pre-approval over the telephone. I didn't even know that was possible. I could just ring up and ask for $44,000, which was the maximum they let me get pre-approved over the phone, and just give me the money. It was the most bizarre thing. So 2 weeks later, I had $44,000 sitting in my bank account, and I felt that that was enough to burn all of my bridges, quit my job, and go for it. The bad thing is, back 11 and a half years ago, I was terrible at managing finances. I was terrible at managing my money. And I managed to spend all of that $44,000 in about 3 months because I just didn't know what to do with such a windfall of money, terrible wealth imprint, and I spent all the money. So I was pretty much back to square one within 3 months at zero and going backwards. Plus I had a massive debt, $137,000 worth of debt. So I wasn't in a good position at all. But what I did work out was that for me, that was the best way for me to succeed. That was the all or nothing approach that I took that allowed me to really get in there and make it happen. So this is one of the things that you can actually do where you allow yourself to go through the process of quitting everything and just going for it. Now, they're kind of the different ways you can actually operate within and have an understanding of what it is that you want to do moving forward. Now, there is one other way that people operate off. And this is basically, it's not the all or nothing. It's not the dreamer. It's not the stepping stone one. It's not the part-time lover. This one is basically the one where you allow yourself to get the hours into play that you can fit. So you work on the weekends, you work in the evenings, you work whenever you can fit it around what you're doing. So you keep your full-time career, but you begin working on your occupation, kind of like moonlighting, like the moonlighting approach to doing things. So you keep your full-time job, everything stays the same, but you kind of combine a little bit of the part-time lover, a little bit of the all or nothing, a little bit of the dreamer, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You combine it all together, so you keep your day job, but you start working in the evenings and on weekends. And as you start to build up enough of an income to replace your actual minimum living expenses, slowly you can look at choosing one of the other options, like the part-time lover, like the all or nothing, like the stepping stone, and so on. So one of the last ways you can do it is keep your job exactly as it is, but work every single spare hour you have in the evenings, in the mornings, on the weekends, and just make it happen. Now, I don't know which one resonates with you. By the way, we actually have a webinar online. You can click the link below to have a look at it. It's called 5 Ways to Quit Your Job and Do What You Love, actually recorded and created by my business partner, Cham Tang. So make sure you do check that out. One other thing I will like to let you know, though, is simply this. We have an event coming up designed just for people like you. People who are curious about being a coach, or people that are already coaching but want to take their coaching career to the next level, to be able to book themselves solid and start making a real impact out there in the world. It is called How to Become a Highly Successful Coach. If you'd like to attend that event, We have very limited spaces remaining for that program. So my advice is opt in, put your details in the form and register for the event because spaces are incredibly limited. Now here's the thing, you can register other people for the event as well. It's a one-day program. It is absolutely free to attend, and during that I'm going to be explaining the 3 core pillars that I followed to get fully booked within the first 12 months of receiving my international coaching certification and go on to train over 1,000 other internationally certified coaches and help them do exactly the same thing.